what a beautiful day to be out here and learning about medicine. Come on, we're gonna learn about Solumedrol. Hello and welcome back to White Line Medicine. Thank you so much for joining me again on our series that we're doing on allergic reactions and anaphylaxis. So we're deep into the medication side of all this, and today we're going to be going over one that's not talked about quite as much, and that is methylprednisolone, or Solumedrol for short. So methylprednisolone is what's called a corticosteroid. Tell you what, let me just show you. Solumedrol comes packaged in a two-part vial that's actually pushed together to release the water and allow it to mix within the powdered medication, thereby activating it. From there, you draw it up and administer it IV. It can also be given IM or intramuscularly, but it's not as recommended because it can sometimes leave a pretty profound soreness for several days afterwards. Standard package comes with 125 milligrams in a 2 milliliter vial. When we look over to our dosing, the standard dosing we typically see is 125 milligrams for adults, or 1 to 2 milligrams per kilogram, up to typically a max dose of either 60 or the full 125 milligrams for pediatrics. Now, as always, make sure that you are checking with your local protocols and guidelines before administering this medication to a patient. It used to be thought that Solumedrol took nearly 45 minutes to begin working after administration. However, more recent studies have shown that it does begin working immediately, sometimes even as quick as 15 minutes. But of course, that does depend a little bit on the patient. And make sure you're keeping this in mind when you give this medication, because you may not see its full effects if you're just with the patient for a short ambulance ride or something like that. Alright, so as you might remember, I mentioned how Solumedrol is a corticosteroid. Well, something I didn't say is that it's also what's called a selective prostaglandin inhibitor. This basically means that it is designed to go after a certain type of prostaglandin. Well, if you look back to our previous prostaglandin video, remember how there was one specific prostaglandin that was released during the anaphylaxis process that caused all those issues, and that's prostaglandin D2. Well, you guessed it, Solumedrol is designed to go after and stop prostaglandin D2. Solumedrol also works to help prevent leukotriene production and also dampen the cascade caused by cytokines. If you remember, cytokines are causing a lot more inflammatory mediators to be released, and it's recruiting a lot more leukocytes. So by dampening this, we're lessening their effects on the body. This is especially important with the cytokines because remember, they're not always released just at the beginning, but sometimes hours afterwards. So because Solumedrol stays in the system so long, it can actually work to continue to dampen the cytokine release and cascade, hopefully preventing future or rebound anaphylaxis. By doing all of this, Solumedrol is working to help prevent bronchoconstriction, bronchospasms, increased bronchial mucus production, angioedema, and vasodilation. And just like we saw with Benadryl, Solumedrol is only working to mitigate the symptoms at hand. It's not actually changing anything within the anaphylactic process, other than hopefully preventing the rebound anaphylaxis. Overall though, Solumedrol is a wonderful drug to have, and more companies and services are adapting its use within allergic reactions and anaphylaxis. And it has a lot more uses too that we'll see in future videos. Alright, that's going to be it for this video, but make sure you're staying with us and staying up to date by liking and subscribing so you don't miss a single video that's coming out. And thanks again for joining and learning with me here today at White Line Medicine.